Noah Lyles, the fastest man alive. He just entered a race he had never run before in his life. Lined up next to him, the 18-year-old the entire sprint world cannot stop talking about. What happened next left even the record book scrambling to keep up. Noah Lyles came to Ostrava, Czech Republic on June 16, 2026, having not lost a single outdoor race all season. His outdoor campaign had started in Tokyo on May 17th, where he ran 9.95 seconds at the Seiko Golden Grand Prix to open the season. 2 weeks after that, he showed up to the Wanda Diamond League in Rome on June 4th and ran 9.88 seconds, his fastest since the Paris Olympics, beating Letsile Tebogo and former indoor world champion Jordan Anthony. 3 races, 3 wins, and now the 65th Ostrava Golden Spike. The event was the 150 meters, not the 100, not the 200. The distance that sits precisely in between, contested only a handful of times per year, anywhere on the planet, with Ostrava as its annual home. For Noah Lyles, this was his first competitive race ever over 150 meters. He had never started blocks for this distance at an official curved track meet. But when he showed up to the pre-meet press conference and looked at Thompson's 14.92, his response was calm and direct. He said, "I saw the world record and felt it was a bit slow, so we need to make that a lot faster." That is not the language of a man testing the water. That is the language of a man who has already decided what is about to happen. He came to Ostrava to race an event he had never officially contested, and he announced in advance that the existing standard needed to be demolished. The only question left was how far. To understand what Lyles walked into, you need to know the history of this distance. The 150 meters on a curved track is not a World Athletics recognized record event. Faster times have been run on straight tracks, including Usain Bolt's 14.35 seconds from 2009. But the curved track version, the one raced in Ostrava, had its own benchmark. For 32 years, from 1994 all the way to April of 2026, the fastest any man had run it was 14.97 seconds, set by British legend Linford Christie. 32 years. The record survived every generation of sprint talent, through the Usain Bolt era and beyond, and held firm. Even Bolt, at the height of his powers, never broke Christie's mark on a curved track. Then, on April 4th, 2026, in Miramar, Florida, Kashane Thompson broke it. The Olympic 100-meter silver medalist from Paris clocked 14.92. 2 athletes went under the old record that same day. The sprint world celebrated a new era. That new era lasted less than 3 months. Lyles walked into Ostrava having watched Thompson set that mark, and made his view of it perfectly clear. He said it was too slow. The record needed to be faster. In Noah Lyles' world, that is not trash talk. That is a to-do list. When the field lined up in Ostrava on June 16th, the names alongside Lyles made it legitimate. South Africa's Sinesipho Dambile was there, and in a lane alongside him was 18-year-old Gout Gout of Australia, who had already rewritten the world under 2,200-meter record with 19.67 seconds back in April. Faster than Usain Bolt had ever run the event as a teenager. For Gout, Ostrava carried extra weight. He had set his 200-meter personal best of 20.02 seconds at this same meeting the year before. The gun fired. The athletes charged into the bend. Coming off the curve, Lyles was level with Dambile. A toss-up at that point, but then came the straight. Lyles has built his career on the final stretch. The 4 consecutive world 200-meter titles, the Olympic gold by 0.005 of a second in Paris, the late surge in Rome 12 days before. All of it points to one thing. When Noah Lyles hits the straight, things happen quickly. He edged in front of Dambile and pulled clear. Noah Lyles crossed the line in 14.67 seconds, a quarter of a second faster than Thompson's 2-month-old world best. The fastest 150 meters ever run on a curved track. Dambile crossed in 14.78 seconds, also under the previous world best. A South African record. And Gout Gout, running down the final straight with everything he had, finished third in 14.96 seconds, an Australian record for the distance. 3 athletes under 15 seconds. The fastest 150 meters in history, all in the same race, all in one night in the Czech Republic. When the clock showed the time, Lyles turned to Gout Gout and started celebrating. High fives in the finish zone. The man who ran the fastest 150 meters in history going straight to his mentee to share the moment. Lyles grabbed a microphone and asked the crowd a question they already knew the answer to. Was there ever any doubt? Was there ever any doubt? We came for a show. He also said, it was about time. 5 words. They tell you everything. He arrived in Ostrava with a plan, told the press the world best was too slow, and then made it 25 hundredths of a second faster. He did not improve the record by a sliver. He destroyed it. The Czech crowd roared. Dambile took a South African record home, And Gout Gout, 0.3 of a second behind a man who has spent a year telling the world this teenager is special, slapped hands with Lyles and let the night settle around them both. What makes this performance mean something beyond the number is what surrounds it. Noah Lyles is 28 years old and at the complete peak of his abilities. He is the reigning Olympic 100-meter champion. He has won 4 consecutive world titles in the 200 meters, a feat shared in the record books only with Usain Bolt. His American record in the 200, set in 2022 at 19.31 seconds, stands as the 3rd fastest time in history at that distance. In 2026, with no Olympics and no full world championships, he is using the Diamond League and Continental Tour to accumulate the kind of dominant performances that define legacies. Ostrava was the clearest example yet. His 14.67 in Ostrava was only possible because of what makes him uniquely dangerous. Fast enough over 100 meters to build the bend, powerful enough over 200 meters to never die in the straight. In the 150, that combination has no answer. The race fit him like it was written for him. He used both halves of his sprinting range at the same time, and nobody in the field could hold on once the straight opened up. And Gout Gout. Consider what 14.96 means for an 18-year-old in his first major outdoor international season. His Australian record for the distance, a mark that would have beaten every man on the planet before April 2026. He came 3rd in a race where the winner broke the world best by 1/4 of a second, and 2nd place also went under the old mark. That is not a loss. That is evidence. The mentor ran 14.67. The student answered with 14.96. 29 hundredths separated them at the line. In 2 years of shared training, in 2 years of Lyles telling anyone who would listen that this teenager is going to be something extraordinary. The gap between them is closing every time they step on the same track. Not quickly enough for Gout to win yet, but quickly enough for everyone watching to feel what is coming. Lyles enters the summer undefeated and focused on September's high-stakes World Athletics Ultimate Championship in Budapest, where he defends his 100 meters and 200 meters titles. Every win cements his dominance as he continues to push the limits of his records. Meanwhile, Gout Gout heads to August's World Under-20 Championships in Eugene, choosing junior gold as his launchpad, a path echoing Usain Bolt's own legendary rise. Their Ostrava showdown ended with a record-breaking 14.67 for Lyles and an Australian mark for Gout, proving both are on historic trajectories. As Lyles predicted before the race, this clash was always destined to be a statement.